Outlet with Kei-Touch, the podcast. So excited to have Rayondon Kennedy, Director of Operations for Career Communication Group. Welcome to the Outlet with Kei-Touch, the podcast, Ray.
Thank you for having me, Key, and thank you for saying my name correctly.
You know, you have such a cool name, Rayondon. I'd be like, Rayon the Don.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, but thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. And I get so excited about the great things going on in our community that many people are unaware of. And the work that Career Communications Group is doing is just phenomenal. So I'm just glad you were able to be here with me today to talk about Career Communications Group, your role, and some of the cool things you have accomplished. So, Ray, let's just get right into it. Look, you're the director of operations. What does that entail, being the director of operations for Career Communications Group?
That's complicated. We got a lot going on here at Career Communications just because it's we've been around for 40 plus years and there's just a lot of things going on. And so essentially my job is really to simplify it, keep the train on the tracks with a lot of different areas, including our publications. You know, we have 3 publications, magazines that are honoring people in STEM. And so we have U.S. Black Engineer Magazine, we have Women of Color Magazine, and we have Hispanic Engineer Magazine, which are honoring folks in STEM and those demographics that are just doing amazing things. And like you said, we're trying to impact the community. We're trying to highlight people who, in other words, would not be highlighted, just trying to bring some attention to it. We also have our STEM City metaverse. You know, my job is really to kind of manage those operations and make sure we have content going on there and people have a really good experience when they get there. And then we also have, as you know, because you participated in our conferences. We have 2 conferences: the Women of Color STEM Conference, which will be in Baltimore this year, but we just left Detroit earlier this month. My mind's already in November. And then we have coming up the BEYA STEM Conference coming up in February. And really my job, like I said, is really just to kind of make sure everything's moving and going as such.
It's pretty cool that you are managing the content of these 3 magazines, getting them out, getting them going. We don't really see a whole lot of print magazines anymore. So that's really cool. You're doing 3 different magazines. Also go to ccgmag.com, ccgmag.com for more information on those publications. Look at me just rhyming. Yeah. But Ray, I think it's pretty interesting. I think it's pretty interesting because you manage publications, as I mentioned, you manage production, so to speak, when it comes to, I don't know if that's the correct term, but that's what it looked like at the conferences for the award shows and everything like that. And STEM City USA, I got to get that going too. I mean, it's just amazing because these are vastly different types of work that you're doing, from production, dealing with publications, and then getting into the metaverse. How do you switch gears, Ray?
I ask myself that sometimes every day, but I don't know. I just have a lot of background training that kind of keeps my mind shifting from you know, topic to topic, theme to theme, and just kind of just being able to stay flexible. My self motto, my personal motto is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So a life lesson is really just trying to stay flexible, right? Don't lock yourself in one way. You know, things don't always go the way you want it to. So you know, just trying to keep my mind going. And you know, it's not easy. You know, it's hard going from, you know, one mode to another mode, going into one meeting with one team into another meeting with another team. But I've been here long enough, and I've been kind of through, I guess, from the bottom up as an intern to kind of where I am now. And so I've seen a lot of the different aspects of the company and kind of how they tie in and how they play off of each other, and how different divisions of the company kind of interact and kind of feed off each other. And so, kind of made for it, kind of built for it.
And also tell us what your degree is in, because I think that has a little to do with it as well, being able to adjust.
Yeah, degrees in psychology. I studied psychology. I thought I was going to be a counselor, and in a way, I kind of am. When you're dealing with different departments, dealing with different personalities, and even just having patience, right? Psychology really kind of taught me how to understand the way the mind works and how people operate. And when you kind of have that background, it's easier to have patience in a lot of different situations because you're able to kind of attribute what's going on and not take things personal, or just kind of get a wider view of kind of how the world is moving around you.
That's pretty cool. Look, we are talking to Rayondon Kennedy, Director of Operations, Career Communications Group. And Ray, as we said, you also work as the lead producer on productions. Tell us a little bit about what that entails when we're talking about doing a production for a conference, for multiple award ceremonies, multiple recipients, multiple presenters, one voice of God. But anyway, what is that? How does that
Yeah.
work? What does that entail?
Well, first off, shout out to Kei-Touch, who is our voice of God, our voice from the sky at the conferences, and so definitely want to get you guys to come out and check her out. But Key, it's a lot with the production. You just listed off a few things, aspects of the productions at the conference. And so let me, I guess, start by just kind of explaining what happens. We have the STEM conference. There's a lot of different aspects of it: career fairs, seminars, professional development, networking, and then also just kind of honoring. And that's kind of where this production kind of comes in. And there's a lot of different pieces to it. Writing the script, pulling together the team, contacting the honorees, and really just trying to create an environment where the audience and the honorees really feel special. And that's kind of my my responsibility, is to really just make sure everybody has a good time. The main piece of that is really making sure the honorees going across stage. This could be a once in a lifetime thing. This could be something that people do, but you really want them to remember their experience. And that's kind of my job, is to really just make sure the experience of all people involved is on a positive, it's on a plus. And like you said, there's a lot of different things that go into it. It's managing people, it's managing teams, it's managing the script, and really just kind of making sure all those things kind of flow and create the message and the environment that we're trying to kick out. Yeah, it's I'm sure you don't want me to go into the details, but that's essentially the role.
But I have to say, Ray, you do just a phenomenal job. The whole team does, because I've been to a lot of conferences, but I've never been to a conference like BEYA. I've never been to a conference like Women of Color in STEM. It's a production. Like, this is something I expect to see for a music awards show. That's what, because they have the teleprompters, you have the cameras, you have a whole production team who I sat with. And I've never seen anything like that. I can only imagine. So it was truly a pleasure and an honor to be a part of that and have that type of experience. So we're not talking about like what you think about when it comes to a play or that kind of production. This is
Mhm.
like award ceremony, like if you watch the BET Awards ceremony level of production. I mean, from the lights, the colors of the lights that change, the teleprompter. I think I
Mhm.
said that, but I mean, it is absolutely incredible. So I know you put a lot of work into it. I know the team puts a lot of work into it, and y'all even have a script. Like, I've never even seen that software that they use for the script. What is that called? The software for
Show
the
flow,
script?
show flow, show flow.
Show Flow. And I mean, it
Yeah, but
keeps
we
you
might.
organized.
Yeah, I hope we're not revealing industry secrets, but I appreciate the praise, but I really got to throw it to Dr. Tyrone Taborn and Jeannie Hamilton, who started doing this and had the vision back in 1986. I always joke, I was born in '89, so they've been doing this longer than I've been alive. Uh, but essentially, I mean, it wasn't just big. It was in a room. I've seen the pictures. There's a couple tables, and people kind of started in there. Um, uh, uh, Dr. John Slaughter, who recently passed away, was the first Black engineer of the year. But these things started in a small conference room, and now we're able to kind of do this. And everybody, no matter what you're doing in your industry, everybody can say they've been doing things for nearly 40 years. This is going to be year 39. The next year, 2026, is going to be the 40th year, and we're looking forward to celebrating that. But this is a tribute to the hard work and dedication of Gene and Tyrone, just to get us to this point and just growing to the level where we can have the fancy lights and kind of do all that. When you look at the old pictures and kind of see where you started, it's really amazing to just be around as long and really been impacting these people in the STEM communities and highlighting. And you can see that by the attendees. There's people who've been coming here since 1986, and there's people who are just coming here for the first time. But everybody's having a great time at the conference, and the production is just one aspect of it.
Yeah, so he's talking about BEYA becoming everything you are. Black Engineer of the Year Awards. That's
Yes.
going down February 2025, Baltimore Convention Center. And these award shows are at convention centers. This is how big it
Yes.
is. The conference is at a convention center. So be on the lookout for that. And I also wanted to talk about when you're doing the conference and it's finally over, because there's so much work that goes into it. When it's finally over, how much time does it take for you to recuperate?
How much time would I like to recuperate? So, uh, it'd be nice to get a week, but honestly, not just myself, it's the entire team. So, like I said,
Right,
we had
right.
women of color. It was the first week of October. I think it was the third through the fifth. We, got a day or so off, and then we kick back up because we got to get ready for BEYA. And so it's really not a whole lot. And I do want to say shout out to the teams and everybody involved, because this really is kind of, it's our job, but it's also kind of a labor of love, to kind of be able to bounce back. And, it's not easy. So there's a lot of people who only do one conference a year, and they need a whole team to do that. We do two, and then we bounce back after Women of Color and go right into BEYA. And so that's a testament to the team. And again, the vision. When you have a strong vision, when you have a strong mission, it's easy to kind of do the work, and really just know the impact that you just know that the work that you're doing has an impact on the community. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, and I mean, I get it. I get it. You were saying you were born in '89, and in 1986, Tyrone Taborn founded and became the chairman and CEO of Career Communications Group, Inc., a multi-million-dollar talent management and career development company that publishes U.S. Black Engineer and Information Technology. Um, and two other magazines, and possibly the nation's only general interest technology magazine for the African American community. Definitely was the only one when he started it in 1986, and possibly all the way up to 2007. So that is just incredible. And when I talked to Dr. Taborn the first time, we just really connected over spotlighting hidden figures, because that was something I was doing. That's how I started getting into talk radio, and now my podcast is when I saw that movie Hidden Figures. I was so ticked off that history occurred in my parents' lifetime and we knew nothing about it. And so I was like, well, how many more hidden figures do we have? And start spotlighting them. And so when I talked to Tyrone Taborn about it, he was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been doing for years. I've been doing this for
Yeah.
decades. I've been spotlighting all these Black and people of color in STEM and STEAM, which we know it as now, And
Right.
so that's just absolutely amazing. And it's just amazing to be a part of an organization, working with an organization that does so many incredible, positive, impactful things. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about working for Career Communications Group, especially based on the impact it has for our future.
I think the way I feel, I love it. It's taught me a lot. You know, like I said, I've been here 12 years. I came here in 2012 as an intern, and so really, it's kind of you know, the environment that I know. Um, but you know, kind of what you were just saying. You know, Dr. Taborn had the vision long before we started calling the Hidden Figures, right? He had it before 86. The publication started when he was at Cornell. You know, he was the publisher of the paper and the kind of a
Wow.
publication that he had on campus, and that evolved into what we call U.S. Black Engineer now. And fun fact, trivia question for everybody: when we say U.S. Black Engineer, the U.S. is not the United States. The U.S. is a callback to the publication that he had on campus, which was called Umoja Sasa, which is Swahili for Unity Now. And so even when he was a student in college going back, he was trying to highlight and uplift the community and spotlight people who were, you know, doing amazing things. And you can go online and you can kind of find old publications. It's kind of cool seeing, you know, he used to have a big afro back there. And so you can see his little publishing picture like on there. But that's how long he's been doing it. And so that's how long he's been making an impact. That's how long he's had his kind of the finger on the pulse of this industry and really highlighting. I mean, I can't even tell you how many thousands of you know, people that we've featured in these magazines, um, and just being part of that legacy and kind of keeping that going is really a great testament. One of the people who kind of come to mind when I think about uh, the first BEYA, right? I wasn't there, obviously, but like you can read back and you can see the first magazine. There's a person who's been in the news recently, Mr. Lanny Smoot. Lanny Smoot is the top engineer or one of the top Imagineers at Disney. He recently got inducted to the I think the Engineering Hall of Fame. But like he was a student and got the first you know, prospective student, I think it was, don't quote me on that, at the very first Black Engineer of the Year Awards in 1986. And so when you spot that talent back then, and then you see just kind of the cool things that he's doing now, I mean, that dude is cool. I don't know if you know this, Key. I'm a big nerd, and so when you talk about Disney or Star Wars, like the man created the real lightsaber, and so that's really cool. But he
Wow.
has, you know, a number of other patents and Imagineering, and a lot of the cool things that you see at Disney land and world is kind of got his thumbprint on it or his thoughts behind it, and that's just a fraction of like the talent and the people that we spotlighted early on and kind of bring back. Dr. John Slaughter, who was the very first Black Engineer of the Year, went on to be the president. Like I said, he just passed away, but he was the president of University of Maryland, and a lot of other accolades that kind of go along with that. And there's hundreds and thousands of people who be featured in these magazines who are equally, you know, talented, equally brilliant people who have come through. And you know, you ask what, you know, how do I feel about that? I just like to be a part of the legacy, right, of highlighting these people, and I hope to highlight somebody else so I can get older and be like, you know what, I knew this kid when, you know, he just started, you know, he and loud look at him, you know, he created teleportation or something, I don't know, but like something cool.
It is, and it's inspirational and it's encouraging. Just being a part of the few conferences that I've been a part of and knowing the longevity is just, it's just amazing. I mean, everyone should know about Career Communications Group. Everyone should know about BEYA. Everyone should know about women of color in STEM. Because I've always said, especially when you're talking about our future, when you're talking about the children. It's one thing to tell a child, hey, you can be anything you want. It's another to show them someone who looks like them, that's been doing it and had harder circumstances. That's inspiring. That's
Yeah.
inspiring because there's so much more to people of color in general's history than what they like to say. So this is for all people of color. And that's another thing. I like the inclusiveness with the Women of Color in STEM
Mhm.
conference. This is a beautiful thing. Oh, I'll let Kei-Touch, all the game changers, innovators, trendsetters, and go-getters, one place. Rayondon Kennedy, Director of Operations, Career Communications Group. And Ray, I just have to say, it's so great that you are young and you're such a professional. I love it. I just absolutely love it. And people don't realize it's just communication is so key when you're working with people. Uh, lack of
Been
communication, yeah, lack of communication can cause a problem when it doesn't have to be one. And I just want to commend you and the team for just being professionals, being able to communicate. I mean, this is the easiest work I've ever done. I had long hours, but as far as not having any frustrations, I mean, that's something. And I'm just being honest. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. That's just
yeah,
amazing. So let's go into
yeah,
STEMcityUSA.com. Dr. Tyrone Taborn is the creator, founder, and visionary for STEMcityUSA.com. You want to talk about the metaverse, all you need to go is go in STEMcityUSA.com. Wow. So I have to just ask, Rayondon, what has wowed you about the metaverse?
there's a lot that wow me about the metaverse. About this metaverse specifically, STEM City, or just the metaverse in general.
The
Because
metaverse in general, but I definitely want you to highlight STEMcityUSA.com.
oh, for sure, for sure. So metaverse in general, like it's a brand new world. If you ask 10 different people what the metaverse is, you get 10 different answers. Uh, but for me, the metaverse is just kind of, I want to say, just information overload, right? Like a metaverse, you can kind of do everything. Whether you're talking about 3D, whether you talk about 2D, whether you talk about VR, AR. Uh, it's a lot, and like the possibilities are endless. There's a book I read, like I just told you, I'm a nerd, called Ready Player One. Before the metaverse trigger word or hype kind of got in, and it envisioned just kind of a world you put on the goggles and you just immerse yourself into it. And whether you want to go play golf, or whether you want to go learn a new skill, or whether you want to just watch a concert, like all of that was in this book and kind of gone to. And seeing, back during the pandemic, I want to say is when I really started hearing just like the public kind of pick it up and start kind of running with it. The birth of the metaverse to the public. Um, that was just an exciting time, because then you started to see the kind of the aspects of that book. It's also a movie, but the book is way better. Just trust me. Uh,
Always.
but just like seeing it come together, and like it's a reality, right? If you got the Oculus Quest or the Apple goggles or Vision or whatever they're calling it, and just kind of have an opportunity, your mind can't tell the difference between kind of reality and not when you take off all the sensors and everything. And so you really feel like you're in whatever world or environment that you're there. And it's like one of the coolest things, because you got to remind yourself, like, hey, I'm standing in the living room, there's a wall in front of me, like you can't go running into it. Uh, but what we've done here with STEM City is really just trying to give you all those aspects, right? We just talked about a lot of what we do here at CCG. And what Dr. Taborn did is he's created a 2D version of it, right? And so there's parts of STEM City where you can put on the goggles and you can kind of walk around. But most people, the technology is still new, so a lot of people don't have the goggles and the access to that part yet. And what we've done is created a 2D metaverse, and so you can go in there, you can do the fly in. I'm actually having it in my background. You kind of see it a little bit, kind of the homepage of it, but really just a lot of different aspects. Really, in 40 years, what I say, STEM City USA is really the metaverse of Dr. Taborn's mind. The kind of the legacy of career communications group, because we have the educational aspects of it. We have the place where young people can kind of go and kind of get an introduction to STEM and STEM professions. We have the career development. We have the Linda Gooden Training Center, where you can go and kind of get access to our seminars or different training aspects. We have our military branch. We at BEYA, we have a large component of Stars and Stripes that honors, a lot of people in the military, and so you can kind of go get a sense of that. We have the health and wellness center. Literally, we have podcasts and shows that are going on that addressing mental health and physical health and like a lot of different things. All those things are there, and that's kind of what makes this our metaverse, as well as interactive shows where we have shows similar to this where we can have a topic. And Dr. T has what he calls the digital twin, and I think this is one of the key aspects of STEM City and what makes it a metaverse, because now it's interactive, right? We can all go to YouTube and watch a video. That doesn't mean you can always interact with it. You can leave a comment there. But on our shows that we produce here in house, uh, we can be live, send it to our community, and people can watch and interact, right? So right now, people can send us a message. Key, if we was on STEM City right now, people can send us a message right now and be like, "Hey, Key, hey, Ray," and like we can interact, shout out, if they wanted to do ask a question, we could. When Dr. T talks about the digital twin, it's basically recreating uh, the digital experience as if you were live. So the same things that you could do if you were sitting in the room with the person or looking at a seminar or doing anything, you can do while you're on the digital platform, and that's creating the digital twin. So you're creating the same thing. And so the conferences that we talked about, the shows that we talked about, that's the anchor of it. All of our shows, if you can't be, if you couldn't make it to Baltimore, you couldn't make it to Detroit for whatever reason, you can still go online and you can have the same experience. You can still interact with people. You can still interact with the seminar panelists. You can still see the show. If you was an honoree and you received an award, but you couldn't make it for whatever reason, we can stream you in and you can still receive your award, and you can still kind of wave to the audience, and just have that experience and have your moment and be featured in front of everybody as if you was there. Uh, Big help definitely in the pandemic when we couldn't get everybody in the same room, but people were still honored and still able to kind of have their moment.
That's just amazing, and I'm glad you covered the DTX, the digital twin experience with the conferences, because I was going to circle back to that. It's just amazing that with these conferences, you were able to do that with the digital twin experience, and actually people can register for the digital twin experience with the
Mhm.
conferences, both of them, BEYA and Women of Color. So it is just, like I said before, that is a production I've never seen before with the conference. I felt
Yeah.
like I was doing the Grammys or something. I mean, it was an award show, a real award show production with the digital twin experience and the teleprompters. And I just was amazed by the cameras, the crew. I was like, oh, this is official. I love it.
Yeah.
STEMCityUSA.com. Check it out. And you can just move around in STEM City USA. And I know Doc, when I have him on, he gets into it about STEM City USA. He loves doing all his meetings through STEM City USA. I just think it's amazing.
All of the
And
above.
another thing I think that's just so amazing about Dr. Taborn, it's his investment in the future, his investment with the youth, and
Hmm.
connecting back with the HBCUs. I think that is just imperative. Like when at BEYA, it was so many uh, deans of engineering from HBCUs that were present. It was so many HBCUs that were present for the career fair, on top of numerous companies, both private sector and government. I just thought it was just amazing that which you guys are doing over at Career Communications Group under the leadership of Dr. Taborn is making a huge impact on the next generation and the generations to come.
Key, I would say it's not just many of the engineering deans; it's all of the engineering deans. There are, I think, we up to 17 now. When I started in 2012, it was what were we, 12 or 15? We was at
Wow.
15, and in the last few years, recently, we've added two more. And so, really, one of the coolest things about BEYA is it's one of the few instances where you're able to kind of get all the HBCU A-BET accredited engineering deans in one place. Um, uh, to celebrate, the work that they're doing, to highlight the things that they're doing, to help them connect and kind of recruit new talent and connect their students with some of the major corporations that are there. It's really one of the I don't want to say the only, but like it's one of the few areas where something like that happens, and a lot of people enjoy that aspect of the conference. Really, just kind of being able to kind of connect and touch the HBCU engineering things, and really kind of showcase the work and the students and everything that they have going on. That's great, because again, that's one of the things that a lot of people don't really know. Bringing them all together and kind of the great work that they're doing, as far as students, and bringing their schools of technology, to the conference, to the forefront.
And I have to just say, I was really impressed by the students that attended, especially for the career fair. They were ready, they were prepared, they were dressed for the part, they had their resumes, they were excited, they were confident. And I just was like, wow, this should be spotlighted on the news. Why aren't we seeing more of this spotlighted on the news, versus when people of color do other things, criminal activities, that's on the news. But these positive things that are going on with our youth is not on the news. And I was just surprised at the number of students that took it seriously and was prepared and excited about interviewing. I was like, wow,
Yes.
this is just absolutely incredible.
Yes, ma'am. And we have a program, with the students when they get there, they have an orientation. But there's also, different programs that we have to kind of prepare students for, these type of interactions, these interviews. How to dress, how to address, what to expect on the interviews. There's a resume building session that happens, where you can go there, bring your resume, and somebody can sit there and kind of tell you, yeah, you want to say this, you don't want to do that, and kind of really coach them up on the resume so that when they go out on the career fair floor, they're really putting their best foot forward. Because there's thousands and thousands of students. How do you stand out? Right. And so we have a program, Job Match, CCG Job Match, that you can find by going to www.ccgmag.com. But you can find out about our Job Match program and really, uh, uh, you know, take a look at kind of what we have going on there, because a lot of the companies that come are impressed by the same things that you just said. The students are top notch, the students are ready for what they have to offer, and that really kind of increases their chances in a very competitive market, of just people in their class.
Again, go to ccgmag.com and just stay tuned for BEYA that's coming up in February, and then the Women of Color and STEM that'll be in October of next year. And am I correct with this? Women of Color and STEM, this will be their 30th anniversary next year.
Yes. So one of the cool things about the two conferences that are coming up is, BEYA this year's 2025 is going to be 39, but 2026 is going to be the 40th, and in 2025 for Women of Color is going to be the 30th anniversary, and so it's really going to be, the next year is really about to be a really big moment for CCG, is because we're going to be celebrating, decades of accomplishments, decades of just being here and really impacting the community.
And you know what, Ray? One thing is, I was just amazed was all of the awards that went out to military,
Mhm.
even from the Stars and Stripes award show, and also Women of Color, all of the innovations that's being made in the military. Now, I'm an Army veteran, so I'm aware that we have the
Mhm.
best military in the world. I just did not know all of the innovations that were coming from the military and that you guys are recognizing. I just found it phenomenal. Your
Yeah.
thoughts?
So again, that's one of them things. I was actually, so one of let me back up. The part that you're talking about is a wing, is a branch of the BEYA STEM conference, which we call Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes is is let me back up. Stars and Stripes is a gathering. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, a gathering of the nation's top Black African Americans in every branch. Every branch is represented, uh, and really just kind of honoring their valor, their legacy, their innovations, and really just the achievements that they have. You know, there's a lot of mentor ship that happens, you know, at that event. Um, and I was going to say I was actually a student in the room. I was in high school at the time because this is going to be the 20th year for Stars and Stripes. Um, and I was a student. I think it was like 2014. Excuse me, 2004. Let me get my math right. When it was just a couple tables in a room, and you had like all these black generals on the stage that just kind of be honored. And I didn't
Wow.
really understand what was happening then. I do remember just kind of being in that room, and when they talk about going 20 years, I was like, wait a minute, I was there. I remember seeing like all these people, and that's one of the things that you talk about. You don't see it, you can't be it. I didn't know we had so many people, and the number and the size of that, like it's a whole Academy Award show almost. The last year at 2024 BEYA, we had Governor West Moore there. We had Morgan State Choir. So it's really kind of turned up from being in that room with just a couple tables and some bagels and coffee on the table to really just being a full live event, and just being able to kind of bring all those people together. I think is where I've been trying to get to, and just celebrate. In addition to all the other things that's going on, is really just amazing because you don't really know how many black leaders we have, until you start seeing them. A part one of the special editions of the magazine we have is the veterans issue, which features, well, I'm pretty confident in saying, an exclusive list of every black flag officer, so from 1 star to 4 stars, uh, from each branch. And so if you have whoever just
Generals.
wanted to kind of take a generals, admirals,
Yes. Mhm.
yeah, and so like that's really cool, and most of those people, come to the events if they can make it, obviously. But like that's the level. Like there's a lot of brass walking around on the Friday at Bay.
Yes, that is so incredible, and I'm a big advocate for veterans. I'm a veteran in the military, and mainly because of our history in this country serving. We have been serving even for as soon as we got freedom, with the Emancipation Proclamation that allowed Black people to serve in the United States military. And so a lot of people look down on it. They don't understand it's a whole nother culture in the military. There, you just like I was in the army, so we were just green. There was no black, no white. Everybody was your sister and your
Everybody.
brother. So it's a big deal, and I think it's great to expose military opportunities versus as well as serving in the military active duty, along with working for the military as a civilian. It's very important to our nation that we have the best of the best so we continue to be number one in what we do. And the fact that this is recognized during Stars and Stripes and also with the women of color, with the innovations of people currently serving, it's just amazing. And I was just proud to be in the same room with some of these individuals. And I was just like, wow, this is just incredible. So this is great work, great
Yeah.
work. So Ray, what's upcoming? What's upcoming? CCG. I know you have don't you have career fairs on STEM City sometime?
Yeah, from time to time. And so I would say go to stemcity.com and kind of keep an eye out, on the programming list, because there are different career fairs and things going up, throughout the year. There's summits that take place on STEM City, USA throughout the year. Big things for CCG, I think we talked about, but I'll just kind of recap. There's a lot. The next couple years are going to be very exciting for us. Like I said, this year it marks the 20th anniversary for the Stars and Stripes event. That's going to be good, celebrating again the legacy of 20 years of honoring blacks in the military. We have year 30 coming up for women of color, and then we're gonna follow that right back up with 40 years of the BEYA STEM conference. And so this upcoming year is going to be busy. It's going to be a lot going on, but like we're ready to kind of deliver and really just highlight and uplift the community.
I just love it. Rayondon Kennedy, thank you so much for being with me today and spotlighting the great work going on at Career Communications Group. And please don't forget to check out ccgmag.com, stemcityusa.com. And Ray, just as a closing, can you give words of wisdom or encouragement to someone who wants to be a part of production, let's say, and wants to run something in production? What kind of guidance or words of wisdom could you share with them? It's important for us to share information as Black people and people of color. So please give us a little insight, even a move they should make, something they should consider doing to gain experience, anything you have to share.
I would say it's to do production, you gotta be detailed, you gotta be flexible. Those are the two things because you can sit there, you can make a plan, and nothing goes according to plan. And in those moments, that's when you kind of have to like rely on your training. You got to rely on kind of, what you know. And so, flexibility is probably the key because you got to be able to. Uh, you gotta be able to kind of move. Is there one I'm trying to think if there's one like class or anything. I don't know. I've kind of went through the fire, right? Like I said, I was sweeping floors, taking out the trash, and then kind of just watched people and just kind of learned what people do. I think your curiosity, not cause the intellectual curiosity. I think that's the word I'll leave with. Watch. Whatever it is you want to do, whether it's production, whether it's anything else. But whatever that industry is, whatever it is you want to do, find people who are doing it well. Find people who are at the top and do what they do. Figure out, you get a chance to meet them, ask them questions. How do they do it? How can you recreate it? And then put your twist on it. How can you do it better? How can you make it your own? And I think that's the key to success. And no matter what you do, whether you want to be a basketball player, who's doing it? What's LeBron doing? What's Kevin Durant doing? Like, how are they doing it? Whether you want to be an engineer, go through the pages of U.S. Black engineer, women of color, or Hispanic engineer. Who are these people who are at the top of their game? We're usually telling a story. That's kind of what we want to do. This is the school they went to. This is what they study. Whatever it is, figure out who's doing it the best, and then make it your own.
Thank you so much, Rayondon Kennedy, Director of Operations, Career Communications Group. Thank you so much for your time, Ray.
And thank you for having me, Key. This was a great time. My pleasure.